There will come a moment in your life when everything feels heavier than you expected, not because you are weak, but because the peace you depended on was built on things that were never permanent. You trusted plans that could fall apart. You relied on people who could change. You attached your stability to outcomes you could not control. And when those things shifted, when someone walked away, when a dream collapsed, when your own thoughts turned against you, it didn't just hurt, it shook your entire sense of security. In that moment, you begin to see a painful truth. Most people don't lose happiness because life becomes difficult. Life has always been uncertain. They lose happiness because their inner world was never trained to handle uncertainty. They were never taught how to calm a restless mind, never taught how to separate themselves from their thoughts, never taught how to stay steady when emotions surge. So, when pressure comes, the mind spirals. It resists reality. It overthinks. It magnifies pain, and suffering becomes heavier than it needs to be. Buddhism was never about escaping pain or pretending everything is positive. It was about building inner stability that cannot be easily shaken. In this video, you will learn how to train your attention so your mind stops multiplying problems, how to stop carrying emotional weight that was never yours, how to respond to emotions without being controlled by them, how to protect your inner energy, and how to develop a mindset that remains steady even when life feels chaotic. These are not motivational slogans. These are practical inner shifts that will help you build a calm, resilient, and emotionally unshakable mind, especially on the days when you need it most. 1. Stability begins with attention, not circumstances. Most people believe their peace depends on what is happening around them. If work is stable, they feel calm. If relationships are smooth, they feel secure. If plans go right, they feel hopeful. But the moment something shifts, their peace collapses. Why? Because it was never built on stability. It was built on conditions. The truth is this: suffering does not multiply because life is difficult. It multiplies because attention drifts. The mind has a habit of leaving the present moment and traveling somewhere else. It revisits conversations that already ended. It replays mistakes that cannot be undone. It imagines worst-case scenarios that have not happened. And each time it does this, it adds emotional weight to something that may have been small at first. Think about it. A single problem rarely breaks you instantly. What exhausts you is replaying it 50 times in your head. What overwhelms you is predicting 10 negative outcomes before one has even occurred. The mind exaggerates pain by stretching it across time. It digs into the past and calls it regret. It runs into the future and calls it fear. And while your body is sitting safely in the present, your attention is trapped somewhere else, creating tension that feels real. Buddhist wisdom teaches something powerful here. Stability is not about controlling events. You will never control everything that happens around you. Stability is about controlling where your attention rests. When attention stays grounded in what is happening right now, this breath, this step, this conversation, the mind stops multiplying stories. Problems become clearer. Emotions soften. The situation remains what it is, but your reaction changes. Anchoring your attention does not mean ignoring responsibilities or pretending the future doesn't matter. It means refusing to live inside imagined scenarios that drain your strength. It means noticing when your mind begins to spiral and gently bringing it back. The real shift is simple, but life-changing. Stop trying to fix the future in your head. Train your attention instead, because the moment your attention becomes disciplined, your inner world becomes stable, even if your outer world is still uncertain. 2. Not every emotion deserves authority. One of the biggest misunderstandings about emotions is this: People think that because they feel something, they must immediately act on it. If they feel angry, they speak. If they feel anxious, they panic. If they feel sad, they withdraw. Emotions become commanders, and the mind becomes obedient. But Buddhism teaches a deeper truth. Emotions are signals, not commands. An emotion is simply information. It tells you something is happening inside you, but it does not automatically mean you must react. The problem is that most people never learn the space between feeling and action. The moment discomfort appears, they rush to escape it. The moment anxiety rises, they treat it like an emergency. The moment insecurity whispers, they believe it without question. Anxiety, for example, feels urgent. It makes your heart beat faster. It creates tension in your body. It tells you something is wrong. But anxiety is often a prediction, not a fact. It is your mind trying to protect you from imagined danger. When you treat every anxious thought as truth, you give fear authority over your decisions. Sadness is similar. When it comes, it can feel heavy and endless. It convinces you that this feeling will last forever. But no emotion is permanent. Emotions move like weather patterns. They pass through, even if they stay for a while. The danger is not the sadness itself. The danger is believing that sadness defines who you are. You can feel something without becoming it. You can feel anger without becoming an angry person. You can feel fear without becoming weak. You can feel doubt without becoming incapable. This is emotional maturity, the ability to observe what you feel without surrendering your identity to it. Between every emotion and every action, there is a small space. In that space lies your power. When you pause, breathe, and choose your response carefully, you strengthen your inner stability. You stop being controlled by temporary feelings. The shift is simple but transformative. Emotional maturity is responding, not reacting. When you stop giving every emotion authority over your behavior, you begin to live with clarity instead of impulse. And that is where true inner strength begins. 3. Stop borrowing emotional weight. Not all the heaviness you feel belongs to you. Many of your insecurities were not born with you. They were learned. At some point, someone criticized you, compared you, doubted you, expected more from you than was reasonable. And slowly, without realizing it, you absorbed those voices. What began as someone else's opinion became your inner dialogue. What began as someone else's disappointment became your self-doubt. This is how emotional weight is borrowed. As children, we were not walking around questioning our worth. We learned to question it. We learned to measure ourselves through approval. We learned that being accepted meant being valuable. Over time, other people's expectations began shaping our identity. And when we couldn't meet those expectations, we felt like we failed, not just in action, but as a person. Carrying other people's disappointment is exhausting. When someone is unhappy with their life, they may project it onto you. When someone is insecure, they may criticize you. When someone feels lost, they may try to control you. If you are not careful, you will begin managing their emotions as if it is your responsibility. You will over-explain, over-apologize, over-sacrifice, and in doing so, you slowly disconnect from yourself. Buddhist wisdom reminds us of something powerful. You are not responsible for managing everyone's emotional comfort. You are responsible for your actions, your integrity, and your effort, but not for how others choose to feel. You cannot live your life trying to keep everyone satisfied. That path leads to resentment and identity loss. Every time you carry weight that does not belong to you, your own sense of clarity weakens. You begin to shape your choices around avoiding disappointment rather than honoring truth. You become cautious instead of authentic, pleasing instead of grounded. The shift is simple but liberating. Return what was never yours to carry. Return the unrealistic expectations. Return the projected insecurity. Return the guilt that was placed on you unfairly. You can care about people without carrying their emotional burdens. You can love someone without becoming responsible for their happiness. When you stop borrowing emotional weight, something changes inside you. Your posture straightens. Your decisions become clearer. Your self-worth stops depending on external approval. And in that clarity, your inner peace becomes lighter, because finally, you are only carrying what truly belongs to you. 4. Acceptance is strategic strength. Most people believe acceptance means giving up. They think if they accept a painful situation, they are admitting defeat. But in reality, acceptance is not weakness. It is strategic strength. Here is what truly creates suffering: resistance. When something painful happens, a rejection, a failure, an unexpected change, the first reaction of the mind is to argue with reality. This shouldn't have happened. This is unfair. Why me? That internal fight creates a second layer of suffering on top of the original pain. The event hurts, but the resistance exhausts you. Fighting reality is one of the most draining habits the mind has. You replay the moment. You imagine alternative outcomes. You create stories about how things should have gone. But no amount of mental resistance changes what has already occurred. It only consumes your energy. And when your energy is depleted, even small challenges feel overwhelming. Acceptance does not mean you approve of what happened. It does not mean the situation was right, fair, or deserved. It simply means you stop arguing with what already exists. You acknowledge the truth of the moment without adding emotional drama to it. You say, this is what happened. This is what is here. And in that honesty, something shifts. When you accept reality, your mind becomes clearer. You stop wasting energy on imaginary alternatives. You stop trying to rewrite the past. And that conserved energy becomes available for something far more powerful: intelligent action. Clear thinking only happens after acceptance. You cannot make wise decisions while you are emotionally resisting what is. Think of it like this: if you are caught in the rain, you can either scream at the sky or open an umbrella. Acceptance is opening the umbrella. It doesn't mean you like the rain. It means you are working with the situation instead of against it. The shift is simple but transformative. Work with reality, not against it. When you stop resisting what is, your strength returns, your focus sharpens, and instead of being trapped in emotional conflict, you become capable of real change, calm, deliberate, and powerful. 5. Your inner climate determines your outer experience. Most people spend their lives trying to control the weather outside them, other people's moods, unexpected events, shifting circumstances. But very few learn to manage the weather within. And yet, your inner climate determines how every experience feels. Have you noticed how on some days, even small inconveniences feel overwhelming? A delayed message feels like rejection. A minor mistake feels like failure. A simple disagreement feels like a threat. But on other days, when you feel calm and grounded, those same situations barely disturb you. The difference is not the event. The difference is your internal state. Your emotional energy is like the atmosphere inside you. When it is unstable, everything feels chaotic. When it is steady, even chaos becomes manageable. Most people give their emotional energy away without realizing it. They wake up and immediately consume other people's opinions. They scroll through negativity. They replay arguments. They allow someone else's bad mood to dictate their own. They say yes when they want to say no. They engage in conversations that drain them. And slowly, their inner climate becomes polluted. Then, they wonder why they feel exhausted. Buddhist wisdom teaches that guarding your inner state is not selfish, it is intelligent. Because your emotional energy affects everything. It shapes how you interpret events. It determines whether you respond calmly or react impulsively. It influences whether you think clearly or spiral into overthinking. When your inner climate is unstable, your mind exaggerates threats. You become defensive, sensitive, easily triggered. But when your inner climate is protected, you gain something powerful, emotional neutrality. You begin to see situations without distortion. You respond instead of explode. You choose silence instead of unnecessary conflict. Protecting your inner climate starts with boundaries. Not walls, but clarity. You begin to recognize which environments nourish you and which drain you. You notice which conversations leave you grounded and which leave you unsettled. You become selective about what you allow into your mental space. It also requires discipline with attention. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every disagreement requires your participation. When you stop reacting to everything, you stop leaking power. Imagine your inner state as a garden. If you allow anyone to walk through it carelessly, it will be trampled. But if you guard it with awareness, it grows strong. And when it is strong, storms cannot destroy it easily. Here is the deeper truth. You cannot control how people behave. You cannot control what happens tomorrow. But you can control what you allow to disturb your internal balance. The shift is this: treat your inner climate as your most valuable responsibility. Protect it before you protect your image. Guard it before you chase achievement. Because when your inner state is steady, your outer world feels less threatening. And once your inner climate becomes stable, you realize something powerful. Peace is not fragile. It becomes resilient, quiet, unshakable. 6. Happiness is a byproduct of non-resistance. One of the deepest illusions people live under is the belief that happiness must be chased. They treat it like a reward waiting somewhere in the future, after the promotion, after the relationship improves, after the pain disappears, after life becomes stable. But the constant pursuit of happiness quietly creates tension, because chasing happiness sends a message to your mind that this moment is not enough. When the present moment feels insufficient, resistance begins. You start pushing against what is happening. You mentally argue with reality. You tell yourself that things should be different by now. And that inner resistance creates friction. That friction becomes stress. Over time, the stress becomes exhaustion. Forcing positivity makes this worse. Trying to feel good when you genuinely do not creates an internal split. On the surface, you attempt to stay positive. Underneath, you feel frustration, sadness, or uncertainty. That inner conflict drains your energy more than the original emotion ever could. Real peace does not come from suppressing discomfort. It comes from ending the fight against it. Peace appears when inner friction dissolves. When you stop demanding that every emotion be pleasant, something softens inside you. Sadness no longer feels like failure. Anxiety no longer feels like weakness. Discomfort no longer feels like a threat to your identity. It becomes an experience that moves through you instead of something you must defeat. Much of human suffering comes not from pain itself, but from the belief that pain should not exist. The moment you think you should be stronger, calmer, or happier than you are, resistance grows. The mind tightens. The body tenses. And happiness moves further away, not because it disappeared, but because the struggle blocks it. Life moves in cycles. Emotions rise and fall naturally. Some days feel light, others feel heavy. When you stop trying to control every internal wave, Flow replaces force. Instead of gripping tightly to outcomes, you allow space. Instead of pushing yourself to feel different, you observe what is present. That observation alone reduces tension. Happiness is not manufactured. It is revealed when the struggle ends. It surfaces when the mind relaxes its grip on how things must be. When you let discomfort pass without labeling it as something wrong, your system calms down. The nervous tension fades. Clarity returns. The shift is simple but powerful. Stop trying to create happiness directly. Remove what blocks it. Remove the resistance. Remove the constant pressure to feel better immediately. Remove the belief that this moment must be different before you can feel peace. When you stop fighting your experience, something changes. Your heart becomes lighter. Your breathing becomes steadier. Your mind becomes clearer. And without chasing it, without forcing it, happiness begins to rise on its own. 7. Perspective is power. The quality of your life is deeply shaped by the lens through which you see it. Two people can walk through the same storm and experience it completely differently. One sees only destruction. The other sees survival, lessons, and strength. The difference is not the storm. The difference is perspective. The human mind is naturally wired to scan for threats. This was once necessary for survival. Your brain is designed to notice what could go wrong, what is missing, what feels unsafe. But in modern life, this survival mechanism often turns into a habit of negativity. The mind highlights problems more than progress. It replays criticism more than praise. It magnifies what is absent instead of what is present. An untrained awareness automatically focuses on lack. It sees what has not been achieved. It compares your life to others. It fixates on mistakes. Over time, this habit creates a distorted sense of reality. You begin to believe your life is defined by what is wrong rather than what is working. Even when you are growing, healing, or improving, your mind may ignore it. But awareness can be trained. A trained awareness does not ignore pain. It does not pretend difficulties do not exist. Instead, it widens the frame. It sees both the challenge and the strength developed through it. It notices not only what was lost, but what was learned. It recognizes that even in hardship, you survived, you adapted, you endured. Perspective is powerful because it shapes identity. If you constantly focus on failure, you begin to see yourself as incapable. If you constantly focus on rejection, you begin to see yourself as unworthy. But when you consciously notice resilience, effort, and progress, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself as someone who overcomes rather than someone who collapses. This does not mean denying pain. Pain is real. Disappointment is real. Loss is real. Perspective does not erase these experiences. It prevents them from defining who you are. You can go through difficulty without becoming defined by difficulty. You can experience sadness without believing your life is only sadness. Think about how many battles you have already survived. Moments you thought would break you, but did not. Days you felt overwhelmed, yet still moved forward. Growth often happens quietly. Stability often builds slowly. But if your awareness is trained only to see what is missing, you will overlook your own evolution. The shift is simple, yet transformative. Choose a perspective that strengthens you, not one that weakens you. Train your mind to see progress alongside problems. Notice stability alongside chaos. Recognize survival alongside struggle. When you do this, something powerful happens. Your inner narrative changes. Instead of telling yourself that life is against you, you begin to see how life has shaped you. Instead of feeling defined by pain, you begin to feel refined by it. Perspective does not change the past. It changes how the past lives inside you. And when your perspective becomes stronger, your entire experience of life becomes steadier, clearer, and far more empowered. Closing reflection. One day, life will test you again. It always does. Not with warning, not with permission, not when you feel fully prepared. The challenge will arrive in its own timing. A conversation you did not expect, a change you did not plan for, a moment that shakes the comfort you built. And for a second, you may feel the familiar pressure rising, but this time, something will be different. The storm will not meet the same version of you. It will not meet the person who reacts instantly, who spirals in thought, who carries everyone else's weight, who resists reality, who chases happiness, who defines themselves by pain. It will meet someone steadier, someone who understands their own mind, someone who knows how to pause before reacting, someone who recognizes emotion without surrendering to it. You will feel the wave, but you will not drown in it. You will notice the uncertainty, but you will not collapse under it. You will experience discomfort, but you will not label it as failure. And in that quiet steadiness, you will realize something powerful. The goal was never to build a life without difficulty. That was never realistic. The goal was never to eliminate pain. Pain is part of being human. The real goal was to build an inner foundation strong enough to hold whatever life brings. Stability was always the mission, because when inner stability is built, happiness no longer feels fragile. It no longer depends on perfect circumstances. It no longer disappears the moment something goes wrong. It becomes something deeper than pleasure, something calmer than excitement, something stronger than temporary success. It feels earned, not loud, not dramatic, not forced, quiet, grounded, unshakable. And when the next storm passes, as it always does, you will not just feel relieved, you will feel strengthened, because every challenge will now serve one purpose: to remind you how steady you have become. That is the power of training your inner world. That is the freedom Buddhism was pointing toward all along. And once you experience that kind of stability, you stop fearing life's tests. You are ready for them.